Hey everybody, Honest Sarcastic here with another Tuesday is Chess Day podcast. So I talked about it last time. I completely messed up the previous podcast, and timing has been really unfortunate to try to get the guys going. Quick breakdown. Manton does some server stuff, and there's just so many servers going up and like work going on due to Corona and all the work from home stuff. Just super busy. Bobby Sapphire. He's doing a lot of the schooling stuff from home, and a couple kids, just in general, overall like busyness. And then long story for our other two compadres, but that'll come up at another time. So I'm here with you guys to kind of talk about the patch notes 0.9.3. I talked about them last time with the early notes, but we'll go over the newer stuff on it. Most of you guys, the patch is already out. You guys know this already, but I kind of wanted to do due diligence. I screwed up, so I wanted to talk about it anyways and my overall thoughts. From there, we'll go talk about the meta stuff, and I do need to go find the link for the Mobilytics meta breakdown. I'm not sure how many of you guys look at a lot of that data and stuff, but we'll talk about that, and hopefully things go very well. So patch notes wise, they talked about the turn timers and roping. Not going to make any adjustments yet, but they have been monitoring it. The issue is that there's like a big balance, right? Like they don't want you to feel bad about those people on round one who can't do anything and rope. But at the same time, at the end of the game or near the end, you're at like 8, 9, 10, whatever, 13 total mana. You have a lot of things you might be wanting to do, so to cut down the timer there would also be unfortunate. I read somewhere at some point, and it might be in here, so that I don't know. I read this like many days ago. They did mention about like shortening the timer in the early rounds, like round 1, round 2, to speed that along, and then maybe an extended timer for later in the game when it's more relative, right? But I would like to see them do something where if someone has no cards in hand and no available action, like let's say you attack and they can block that, they have an available action. But it's like you played a spell to kill a guy and they've got no cards in hand and only the dudes in play. None of the dudes can activate to do anything or respond, so like it should just auto pass. I would like to see that happen, so anyone who just gets like really mad at a situation they ran out of cards, it auto passes on them. Screw it. Like it somehow does it, but I know at the same time if they somehow force that, there's gonna be other overwhelming issues with like if there's a fucking bug involving that, right? Like you do like you didn't do anything yet, and then the game auto passed you, you'd lose your mind. So there's a balance there, and I very well understand it. Well, we'll probably see some stuff going. They go over the economy updates and whatnot. We see the vault stuff again. Level 2, level 5, level 10, we knew that already. They gave us a better breakdown now on the level 13. So it's 3 rares and 2 commons for every 4,500 experience. That's a lot of experience for those. But in general, if you wanted to grind a ton and build up your collection, like that's a really good way to do it. You don't really need as many epics as you do like pretty much rares, commons, and then like obviously the champions when you're building your deck. So the champion wildcard at level 10 is really sweet. Like in concept, that takes a while to get situated, but if you were dead set on playing a specific champion, you just started the game, then as long as you get to level 10, then after the 3rd week, right, like you have the 3 of that champion, even if you didn't crack any of them yet, which also means like if you're short a couple champs to build whatever deck, like you'll have those wild cards available. But it is a time thing where it's every week you're going to get that one wild card, but you're guaranteed it, so that's sweet. Expedition token seems really sweet at level 2+, but we're going to get into the overall issue with that. Earning unlimited experience versus PvP and AI wins, that's cool. They did drop the AI wins the AI wins are 50 only at 11+. So, could someone like bot it or something? Probably, but whatever. Let those people do whatever the hell they want, because it's, as far as I'm concerned, they're largely irrelevant. Like, if someone wants to like bot farm some account and then sell it to somebody because it has all of the cards or whatever, or at least bust it through all the region stuff, like whatever. Let people do what the hell they want. I don't care. But that probably does break terms and conditions. They removed the limit of the purchase on wild cards. It makes sense for anyone getting new into the game, especially once set 2 comes out. Any new people might want to just throw money and catch up. So that's super sweet. Or if a streamer's going into like an additional region, which I probably breaks terms and conditions again, and they just want to build whatever deck and grind through, like they can do that and just throw the money at it. Here's my more or less issues is the expedition. So they reduced the cost and the rewards by 33%. In my mind, though, the rewards were hit by more than 33%. So here's the expectation, right? The expedition now costs 2,000 shards, or 200 coins, instead of 3,300. Okay, cool, discount. They do break down the expedition rewards better. So now you're guaranteed an epic, 2 rares and a common, or sorry, 2 commons, is in a capsule. Obviously, you can get upgrades on those, so you could get to a champion, which is sweet, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's a 10% chance. So it's probably 10% chance on the capsule, 10% chance on the card. So what? You're at like 11% or something like that. Wait. No, it's probably 19% in theory to either have the capsule upgrade or the card itself. So 1 in 5. Now we got to like talk things out because that's a little different. But anyways, so they maintain the shard levels. At 7, you get 2,000. So it's like, okay. You get a couple real wild cards for your troubles. The main dilemma is that 2,000 shards only being guaranteed an epic is kind of like inefficient from a cost perspective, right? So what I just say, you got like a 20% chance total for either the epic card or the capsule to upgrade, assuming that my math is correct on the 10%. This is really 19%, but we're going to go with 20. So 1 in 5. So let's say you ran this 5 times for 10,000 shards. Your expectation is you're probably going to get 4 epics and 1 champion. So an epic's 1,200 shards. So 4 of them would be 4,800, and a champion's 3,000. So now the thing before was, because you were guaranteed a champion for 3,000 shards, like you didn't feel bad, even if you kind of just like tanked and lost heavily. The other thing there was that, like, let's say you couldn't play draft or expedition that week, right? But you kept your token, you got to, obviously level 10. And then the next week you did 2 of them, you'd get 2 random champions. Sure, the wild card is better overall for those people. But if you were new to the game and you were, I guess, relatively good at cards, you could spend the time burning through 3 expeditions a week and, let's say, free roll and get 3 champions per week that way. Now you can only get 1 guaranteed one. And then 60% of another one, assuming you did all, went through all 3 of them properly. I guess in theory you could fail on the last one, and that's irrelevant because your expectation is the next week you'll have the draft token again. But overall, like, that's kind of unfortunate. In theory, if you turn your draft token into a 7 to win, you do have 2/3 of a champion card. So it's not completely terrible, provided you're not willing to expedition anymore. It's just the overall expectation there just seems in my mind really low. I don't know what the mathing they did was on the stuff. Like, the 33% less rewards is probably correct from the math perspective. It just feels shit terrible from like what you're spending on, right? Like, if you have 2,000 shards, you probably just go get whatever champion you need if you wanted to play constructed. You'd have to just actively like expedition. So like, it becomes problematic there in my mind. What they did with the granting shards back for the expedition tokens were cool. I actually burned all my tokens getting random champions because I hadn't finished yet. But a random champion, when you already have all of them, would have only been 750 shards. So getting 1,000 back was actually a profit for anyone who had all the champs already, but had leftover expedition tokens. They are adjusting the prologue reward tweak. I really don't know how relevant that is, but, whatever. That's cool. You're getting epic instead of a rare. The harrowing was changed during the last patch, but it was kind of like a sneaky change, or, it was just kind of an unknown change, where if you didn't play the harrowing, you may not have known that it started to only summon your own strongest allies and not any of the strongest units. So, they talk about it. They didn't want you to be able to, like, cheaply get opposing champions, especially level up champions, and it makes perfect sense. So now you have to do it based off of your own deck. You can't just be like a control deck, have killed all their guys, then played and bring all their guys and kill them with it. So, like, whatever, sweet. I haven't seen the card see play again since that adjustment, but Maybe some deck at some point like loves it. The card text clarity, I actually haven't gone and looked at any of the cards yet, but they should be already be updated. I think it'd be interesting to go read the stuff and see kind of what the differential was, but it probably just better explains half of what the cards are doing, which is sweet. Master tier wise, they adjusted it so that we're seeing smaller swings in rank going up and down, which is perfectly fine. But I think someone told me there's already like 2,000 masters now. So you're still seeing pretty big swings. Like you're going back like 90 and climbing like 25 per win, which may have been better than like losing 300. But well, actually, what did we just say? No, it was either that or he climbed up 90 and fell back 250. I actually forget now. I'm sorry. I think it was he fell back 250 but climbed up 90, and which was better than like hitting multiple hundreds. But he might have fell really far back when I talked to him about this. Expedition Archetypes, really not focusing on that in general. I don't, if we had something written with all the archetypes, then maybe it'd be something I could like examine and talk about. But this was changing so often, I had no idea what was going on. But talked about a couple bug fixes. I hadn't seen these where you play a burst card that ends the game. And the issue with never-ending turn on the burst. I knew about the combo decks, but I hadn't seen any of that stuff. All right, so let's go to the tier stuff. So this is the swimstrim.com website, swimstrim.com. I cut the top off so it's just bigger and easier to see. 1 second, let me move this over. But yeah, see that's Swim's little face over there. But I just wanted to make sure you guys could get access to that, and we give proper credit to the guys. So pretty much nothing's really changed on this, to my understanding. I don't see the dates anymore. I think he used to have the dates when he updated. Or hold on a second, see if they updated. It says he updated on March 30th, so a couple days ago. Sorry. Tier 1, Nox Bannerman and Kinko Elusives. Nox Bannerman is just pretty much the Demacia deck with 2 House Spiders. So a couple Purifies, a couple single combats. Oh, sorry, 3 single combat, 3 ripostes, and just a bunch of dudes. A lot of Challenger, get big with Bannerman. Overall, the deck's, relatively sweet. Cythria. Demacia's in a really good place as far as, like, what he can do, but it seems to struggle with, like, the crazy Karma control decks. From there, Kinko Elusives hasn't really gone anywhere. It's being elusive and just going over the top of people so that they can't really block is just, a really good win condition. If you Omen Hawk into great stuff, like, you can just destroy people and they can't do anything about it. So, like, not much to really say there. We see Karma Ezreal, we see Spider Karma. We see a new henchman, though, Karina Control. We'll get to that in a second. We'll go look at the list. But, obviously, Nox Ezreal, that's a little... So, I heard about this way back. But it's obviously much better now because other stuff just kind of got nerfed. Not necessarily into oblivion, but it got hit hard enough where this became much more viable. Burn, discard aggro, some spider aggro, the Endure Spiders. Endure Spiders I thought was pretty good. I don't know. Actually, let's go take a quick peek at what they're doing. We'll open up Karina Control, too. And sorry if I'm saying any of these names incorrectly. Alright. Why can't I... Can't go left side. They hate me. See if I can stretch this a bit. So hope this doesn't mess up any of the other stuff. If it does, I'll try to readjust it. Sorry, guys. But yeah, so, at least a couple Threshers, a random Tryndamere. Tryndamere's job is pretty much the same as, They Who Endure, but Thresh can pull them out. So if... you've gone through the Elises already, then Thresh can only pull a champion that's not Thresh. So, bam, the one of Tryndamere. Odds are not super high there, but seeing as you would mulligan these away and look for the Elises early, it's definitely possible. I played a variation during Duels of Runeterra 5, and I was pretty happy with what I had. I think I signed up for Duels of Runeterra 6, which if I'm not mistaken is this weekend, so I definitely want to get that going. I'm going to record the games, and then I'll talk about my plays and different stuff and try to put those up for videos. We've been kind of dead on the video front because there were, overall the expectations originally were just like, okay, we're going to do certain stuff, but it needs to be kind of approved as far as like, this is what we want to share with everyone. So most of my gameplay videos weren't allowed to kind of come up. I usually had a ton of them, but I'll go through now and record them and just kind of post stuff. And I'll have a video kind of talking about some back end stuff that's kind of changing. But Crawling Sensations, Glimpses, Vile Feasts, the norm. Brood Awakening I felt was really sweet, right? Like just the fact that if you'd miss your 1, then on 4 you could have 3 2-1s, and any of your already existing Skitterer or Hapless Aristocrats were very big with Elise. I stayed away from like Icevale Archers and stuff, but I understand the overall usefulness of it. I did have an Atrocity that was really good for me, but the deck looks pretty fine. I'd probably say play it and see how you feel about stuff and make adjustments accordingly. I was happier with They Who Endure and splashing the card to pump the spiders. But I also ran Mist Wraiths and Wraith Callers so that I could pump a Mist Wraith, and it was just kind of ridiculous. But alright, so let's get out of that. So the Corinna Control deck is heavily built on a bunch of spells. You would like Ledros your opponent, and then you could Corinna kill them in theory off of like either casting 2 Corinnas or just in general like board wipe and deal damage to their face. Brood Awakening helps for like board position stuff. So I kind of treat it as like a dude. But if you look at the list, like it's a ton of removal, right? Vile Feast, Mystic Shots, Get Excited, Statics, Grasps, Withering Wails, Vengeance, Ruination. Like that's a ton of this entire list, right? Technically only Progress Day and Brood Awakening aren't like damage spells or just straight up pure removal, right? So that's 21 cards. Over half of the deck is to kill stuff, kill dudes, or you can burn face technically too. Then it's Hapless Aristocrats, Skitterers, Corinna, Ledros, and some Elises. So like the deck's super interesting at that point. There's a total of 13 Piltover and Zon cards. So it's hard to go like Wraithcaller and stuff there, especially if you're trying to play any of the bigger spells. But I think the concept's super interesting, and from my understanding, it's been playing pretty well. I don't know where the meta is currently at over these last few days. I restarted school, finishing my accounting degree and whatnot. But the deck looks cool. I'd like to see where it could kind of go. I'm surprised about the 3 Hapless Aristocrats, to be honest with you. But if they're just blocking and then making spiders to kind of stay through the game versus like Demacia and stuff, that makes sense. You just got to be careful with like Fiora, but with so much removal, you're probably perfectly fine. So I think Hapless Aristocrat makes sense because you're not seeing nearly as much Fearsome as you used to. All right, so double check. Oh God, why is this so terrible right now? Let's see if I can fix this. All right. I don't know what's up with this Mobalytics website in my browser, but it fucking hates me. Let's go see if I stretch, and we'll just move this stuff. All right. So their S tier: Kinko Elusives, Midrange Bannerman, Corinna Control. So this mid-range Bannerman is the one with the deny. Bobby Sapphire actually plays a very similar variant. Right now I think he's testing out Redeemers for drawing cards, and he's cut away from some of the late game to have like a more solid early. But it was doing really, really well for him. He ran all the way to 10th. Then he was trying to claw up, got to 9th. And then after that, it was just like control deck after control deck, and he got like obliterated. So I don't know where he's sitting at right now, but he made a really good run with it. And in general, he's usually sitting in the 2-digit numbers, so that's kind of sweet. But Corinna Control's here in S tier, so let's see if there's any changes here. No, it looks the exact same. Play Ledros and just kill them off of it because you're just playing so many dudes and you just ruin their life. Seems like the norm, right? Because if you hit them for like a couple points, got them to like what 18, you Ledros down to 9, Corinna puts them to 4, like you have enough burn spells to finish that off. If not, just Ledros, and then Corinna kills them, and that's definitely a huge possibility. Endure Spiders, Spooky Karma, yep, Burn Aggro, Ezreal Karma, Spider Aggro, War Mother's Call. So yeah, it's pretty much cut and dry. I like that the meta is so big as far as like the many different things that we can run. Even like the S tier versus the A tier, you're not guaranteed to win. You have higher win percentage rates kind of like across the board. So let's shrink this up again. 1 second. So on Swim's website, he does have a matchup thing. Now, these are not statistical. These were not pulled from the actual matches. They were made by him and several other top players talking about how they felt about matchups. So, for the most part, you don't really see anything past 60% or less than 40%. Actually, sorry, there is a couple 35% because I just felt it was really that bad. But let's see if I can shrink this so you can see. So those are the types: midrange, Benjamin, Kinko, blah blah blah. You can go to the website and see for yourself. But yeah, see, it's really hard to see all that stuff. But he does have a matchup thing there, which is pretty sweet. I would definitely go check it out. And he just kind of talks about the normal stuff. Aggro beats control beats midrange beats aggro. And anyone that just kind of is not familiar with that concept, what happens is control usually can't deal with a bunch of small guys. Like if someone played Noxus and played like 3 1-drops by turn 2, right? Like they're not going to have enough mana or efficient spells to actually deal with all of that. Could they like Vile Feast a 3-1 and then block the other guy? Yes, sure. But if they didn't hit it, they're having a problem because 3 guys came out. They might be able to cast 1 piece of removal and take a bunch of damage and then get burnt out at the end. But then control will beat midrange because midrange doesn't come out as hard, so they have enough time to deal with that. And then midrange will beat aggro because they played guys that are just overall bigger and better. On those middle curves, like they'll hit like 2-drop that's the same, right? But then they hit a 3-drop, and the 3-drop aggro might not have hit the 3-drop, so then 3-drop like beats a guy and then trades with another guy, and then they hit like a 4-drop, and it's like, oh shit, what do I do? But overall, that's just kind of how that's going. On the original one, Bobby Sapphire talked about the Demacia deck and like how you'd play it against specific matches. I don't honestly have most of that knowledge, nor can I actually remember it, unfortunately. But I was doing my best to kind of give you guys that breakdown on stuff. So the last thing I'm looking for, give me 1 second. I'm looking for the Excel sheet. I have a link for it already. It's just going to pop up in a second. All right. So let's move this over a bit. So this is from last week. Like I said, it's old now, as far as like 4 days ago, but they won't have a new one until what, like the 5th or something. But the breakdown on this gives you like the deck names as well as the region, champion, and then like the win rates, right? Talks about the durations here. To the right it has like pick rate. I don't know what the hell the pick rate thing is. But to the right of that it actually has games played. So this is in order of games played right now. So as we go through the list, it'll get progressively lower. Once we get down to PZSI Elise here, we've reached the territory of less than 100 games. And realistically, you probably can look down at that stuff, but it's not look down as in like I look down on you, but like physically scroll down. And like see something and like try it for yourself, but don't give it kind of the props and be like, oh man, 80%, but it's like 20 games, right? Like could that, like, sure, these are only master players, but like that person could have been at a rank 1200 and then played like diamond and then master and then plat or whatever's going on. You don't really know what they're playing against, just that they won that many times. So be careful with that information at that low. But when it comes to like the higher numbers, you're looking at 1,000, 100, 500 games, whatever's going on. Like those with a higher win rate are statistically advantageous, because the thing is that the skill level may not be there, right? Like let's say Swim played with a deck and he played 30 games and he won 28 of them. Then it's like, okay, there's a skill level there that's different from the average person. Whereas you see 1,600 games, the average man's probably running this deck. And if the average man's pulling a 60% win rate, you're likely to be in a good spot. So let's talk about some of the stuff. We see Bannerman here with 60%. Like that's real solid for almost 1,400 games. The normal 55's pretty good place. Like it's a steady climb when you're doing that, but the dilemmas and masters, it's a miserable experience. You need like to have like 80% like win rate runs, 90% to really hit like rank 1. So this data is weird, right? Like diamond is probably the one that you would want to see kind of checked out for who went from diamond to master, because they did like a crazy run. But Karina Veraza here, 65%. With a little over 600 games, that's a really sweet win percentage. So if I were you guys, I would look into that list and see how you feel about it. If you're struggling in your climbing endeavors. The Then we get down, and I'm only looking at 60 pluses. We get to the Thresh Tryndamere deck. BBG should be Bruised by God, if I'm not mistaken. I definitely watched him a couple times on Twitch. So those letters kind of stick out to me. This only had 229 games. But like I said, 64%, pretty solid win rate. I'm okay with, I wouldn't guarantee that this deck's good to go, but still over 200 games. You feel like okay about it. It means like it could be worth a try. You got Spider Aggro, 65%. If you're hitting those percentages, like, you feel good about life. We got a Lucian deck with Demacia and Freljord, 69.8%. 70% is really sweet. It's higher than Karina, but it's at 190 games. If you're looking to climb, you're in Diamond, you're in Plat, you want to make that climb, it doesn't have a ton of games, but if you play some Freljord Lucian, that could be your way to get up there, guys. 70% is real good. After that, we're seeing crazy low numbers. Look, this is a friggin' 36%. Poor Jinx. Heimerdinger sitting at 63%, but he's at 44 games. So, like, this is just dumpster diving at its finest. But we do see at 82% here with Freljord SI. There's no champion listed. So I don't know if they have maybe had 3+ champions or what's going on. It's really only 23 games. So let's call it 24. It's a little over 4 over 5, right? So if we divide it by 5, it's still less than 5. Yeah, I don't know. That's like 18 wins out of 23 or something like that, probably. Might be higher than that because I think that just went too low. But we'll call it 19. 19 out of 23. Yeah, whatever. I don't care. But there's some weird stuff here. There's another Garen deck that did really well. But you're sub 20 at this point. You can't really take any of this. All grain of salt, right? But I would say definitely check this out. I'll put this in the description. Or I don't know if I can put this in the description, actually. I'll try. I'll try to put the Google Doc in description, but I might get yelled at for it by YouTube. I'll check the YouTube stuff and we'll go from there. If you guys really need the description, just check out Reddit. It's actually it's 100% on Reddit, and you just search up Mobalytics and you should see it. Yeah, do that instead, because I don't want to get yelled at for YouTube. I'm sorry, guys. I lied for a second, but I tell you the truth. All right. But yeah, so look forward to hearing more from me. And we'll get through this. I'm redoing, like I said, the college stuff, but I do want to start jamming more games for you guys and get stuff situated, let you know what I'm doing during my climbs and my master ranks, and try to get you guys that are trying to get to masters higher and higher. Throw some comments. Let me know what decks, let me know what rank you're at and what decks you're running into or having problems with, or you're like currently seeing, right? Like, let's say you're in Platinum and you're only running into like Endure Spiders and Kinko Elusives, then I can try to see if I can do a video talking about what decks you'll want to look to play against or play as if you're seeing primarily those matches in the meta. And I can try to do some breakdown stuff. Just throw some comments in so I got a direction to work with for you guys that will do best. And, if you leave a comment, then, why can't I go out of my way to help you out, But all right, thanks for watching. Once again, I'm sorry that I lost the old one. Completely a screw up on my part. On the future ones, I'll make sure 100% that someone else has a backup. But thanks again, and you guys have a good one. Deuces. Oh, yeah. And never forget. Or don't forget. Never skip chess day. Oh, I'm terrible at it. I know, guys. Sorry. Don't hate me. Deuces.